Importing data to Power BI is really straightforward. All I have to do is to ensure that I'm on the Home tab. Remember, the Home tab basically has commands that we use often and often and often. And which other command do you use more often than getting data? Okay, so now I would like to bring in that sample superstore data into Power BI. I'm gonna have to use this get data button. So if I click on this drop down on get data, you will see that I have a couple of lists here. So these guys you see here are the most common data sources. So these are the most common data sources, but if I click on more option, I will see I have a more expansive list of data sources. So currently we have over 90 different data sources that one can connect to and extract data from. You can see I can connect to a folder, I can connect to a PDF file, you can connect to Access database, SQL Server, Oracle. When I scroll down, you will find some other interesting data sources. So I can connect to my Facebook, I can connect to QuickBooks Online. So this is for accountants, you can connect to QuickBooks Online. I can also do a couple of other connections to bring in data, but in this case, since I have my data seated on an Excel workbook, of course I have to go with Excel. So I'm gonna click on Excel and click connect. So another way I could do that is just double click on Excel. So if I double click Excel here, it's gonna give me a box to navigate, and I have my file right here, Superstore data. So I'm gonna click on open. So I have a navigation window. So this is called the navigator, and what this stands for is to show me the properties of my data source. So right now I'm connecting to an Excel workbook called Superstore data. Inside that workbook I have a worksheet property called orders, which is what I actually want to connect to. So to get there, I'm gonna have to check the box for orders. Then I want to click on transform data. So let this be the very first important lesson you learn about preparing data. So when you connect to a data set, make sure you don't click load. You want to click on transform. Okay, and the reasons I'm going to explain shortly. So when I click on transform data, I'll have a separate window opened up. Now this window is called Power Query Editor. So the Power Query Editor is something we use to connect to data and prepare data in Power BI. So if I come over to my taskbar here, you will see that I have two Power BI properties or two Power BI pages on my Power BI icon. So I have the Power BI desktop, which I opened up earlier. Then because I clicked on transform data, I now have a Power Query editor. So Power Query is different for Power BI. Power Query is something that works with Power BI as a data preparation tool. So now I've brought in my data into Power BI. The next thing we want to do is to look for what transformations we need to do on this data before we load it and try to create some visuals.